Hey man, let's kick this off talking about someone who doesn't always make the headlines, but who's quietly becoming a pillar on defense, Bryan Cook. Now, I know he's not exactly the flashiest name on the roster, but let's give the guy some credit. In 2024, he started all 17 games for the Chiefs, racking up 78 tackles, 5 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions. Solid, dependable, no drama. Especially now with Justin Reed gone and off to New Orleans, Cook steps in as the veteran presence in that secondary. And let's be real, with all the moving pieces in our defense, having someone consistent like him is huge. He's not going to cost a fortune either, which is pretty rare these days when you're trying to keep a competitive team together under the salary cap. Here's the thing. Cook might never be a superstar. He might not be a guy who ends up on highlight reels every Sunday night. But what he does give you is reliability. He knows Spags' system, he executes, and most importantly, he's durable. That counts for a lot, especially when you consider the beating NFL defenses take during a season. So here's the big question I've got for you. Should the Chiefs bring back Bryan Cook next offseason? Let's make this interactive. Vote in the comments. Would you re-sign Bryan Cook? Type yes or no. And I'm not stopping there. I want your take on this. Do you see Bryan Cook as a long-term starter, or do you think KC should look elsewhere at safety? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're just getting started, but if we're talking about moves that could shape the next era of Chiefs football, then we've got to talk about one name that's got the entire fan base buzzing: Tyreek Hill. Could the Cheetah really come back home? Let's get into it. All right, let's go there. Tyreek Hill. Just saying his name brings back a flood of memories, right? Jet sweeps, deep bombs from Mahomes, that peace sign on the way to the end zone. Tyreek was the spark plug of this offense, the one guy who could change the game in a heartbeat. But now, he's in Miami, and it's no secret. He's not exactly living his best life out there. Reports are surfacing about his dissatisfaction, and the rumor mill's been spinning hard. So of course the big question is, could Tyreek come back to Kansas City? Let's break it down. First, the money side of things. Tyreek's base salary this year is around $10 million. Not cheap, but not impossible. Even better, he's got 0 guaranteed money on his contract after this season. That gives the Chiefs some serious flexibility if they wanted to restructure or extend him in a team-friendly way. And don't forget, Brett Veach has done cap gymnastics before. Remember when nobody thought we could afford Chris Jones and extend Mahomes? Yeah, Veach finds a way. If there's a GM who can make Tyreek fit, it's him. But here's the real obstacle: the Dolphins. This isn't Madden. Teams, especially contenders in the AFC, don't love the idea of helping the Chiefs get better. And why? Would they? After all the heartbreak we've handed out the last few years, Miami might be hesitant to strengthen the empire they're trying to beat. Now I gotta ask you straight up, would you welcome Tyreek back to KC? Sound off in the comments. Would you take Tyreek Hill back, even if it meant a big contract and a big personality? Type yes or no. Bonus question for you. What would a reunion with Tyreek mean for this current Chiefs offense? Let me know your vision below. We've seen what Mahomes can do with Tyreek, but bringing him back would be a big move, and a costly one. Speaking of costly moves, the next name on the rumor list is just as electric, but comes with an even heavier price tag. Let's talk Micah Parsons. Okay, Chiefs Kingdom. Let's dive into the wildest name floating around the trade rumor mill: Micah Parsons. There's no denying it, Micah is an absolute beast. Double-digit sacks every season, explosive off the edge, a game wrecker. He's one of those rare guys that offensive. Coordinators actually lose sleep over. Put him in Spags' system? That could be straight-up terrifying for opposing QBs. But here's the deal. Bringing in Micah Parsons isn't just about talent. It's about cost, and not just in draft picks. We're talking a first-rounder, probably more, plus one of the fattest contracts any defender will ever get. The longer Dallas waits to pay him, the higher his price tag climbs. You might be thinking, oh, but hey, we're in win-now mode. Why not swing big? I get that. I really do. But it's not that simple. Look, Brett Veach is a mastermind, but he's also disciplined. The Chiefs win by building complete rosters, not by putting all the chips on one star. Would Micah make us better on defense? Yeah. But at what cost? You lose that first-round pick, you limit your flexibility. You hand him a mega deal, and suddenly you've got less room to take care of guys like Nick Bolton or Creed Humphrey down the line. And let's not forget the chemistry side of it. This. Defense works because of its balance. Chris Jones, Karlaftis, McDuffie, it's a unit. Dropping a superstar into the mix sounds great, but it shifts everything financially and structurally. Now it's your turn. T for trade or P for pass? What would you do with Micah Parsons? Drop it in the comments. And while you're at it, how would you build the ideal Chiefs defense? Would Micah be part of it, or would you spread the resources elsewhere? Let's talk roster strategy. Parsons is a dream player. No doubt. But sometimes dreams come with a nightmare price tag. Speaking of risk, the next guy we need to talk about is pure boom or bust. Let's move from the pass rush to a wide receiver with some serious baggage. Let's talk George Pickens. All right, let's talk George Pickens. On paper, the guy's electric. Big play potential, physical at the catch point, and still super young. He's already made some highlight reel grabs in Pittsburgh, and if you're just watching film, it's easy to think, man, Mahomes could cook with this guy. But hold up. Before you get too excited, we've got to look deeper. Pickens isn't just known for his talent. He's also known for being, let's say, difficult. Some around the league call him a diva. He's had sideline blow-ups, cryptic social media posts, and rumblings of friction in the Steelers' locker room. That's not nothing, especially when you're bringing someone into the tight-knit culture Andy Reid has built. And here's the thing. You can't ignore the Steelers' track record. Pittsburgh has a sixth sense when it comes to moving on from wide receivers. Think about it. Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, even Deontay Johnson recently. They all peaked in Pittsburgh and fizzled out fast after leaving. That's not a coincidence. So if the Steelers are shopping Pickens, you gotta ask, why now? What do they know? Now sure, the Chiefs have done a solid job handling personalities. Guys like Kadarius Toney and even Josh Gordon got second chances here. But George Pickens is a bigger investment. You'd need to extend him eventually. You're not just taking a risk on talent, you're taking a risk on long-term fit. Here's where you come in. Would you roll the dice on Pickens? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments. And let me know, is he worth the drama if it means giving Mahomes a potential game breaker at WR? Or is that gamble just too risky in a championship window? No doubt Pickens has star potential, but sometimes the baggage outweighs the upside. Speaking of risk and reward, let's flip to a different kind of decision. The draft. Because Brett Veach may have something up his sleeve again. Let's talk trenches and tackle depth next. All right, let's finish strong, because while everyone's hyped about big-name trades, we can't forget where the game is really won, in the trenches. Let's talk Wanya Morris. After getting a few glimpses of him last season, it's clear the Chiefs believe he could be a long-term answer on the offensive line. But the real question is, will he be the future at left tackle or slide over to right after Jawan Taylor's deal runs out? If Brett Veach and Andy Reid trust Morris to hold it down on the left side, that opens up a ton of flexibility. But if he's not ready to protect Mahomes' blind side full-time, then you better believe Kansas City's looking hard at this year's draft class for more protection. One name that's come up recently? Charles Grant out of William & Mary? Now, yeah, he's raw, no doubt. But the size is there. 6'4", 300 pounds, and scouts are saying he's got the movement and hands to develop into a solid starter. It's the kind of pick Veach loves. Low profile, high upside, and cheap. And don't forget, the Chiefs could still shake things up by trading up or down in the draft. Veach has never been shy about moving the board to get his guy. If the top O-line targets are gone early, he might slide back and grab value. or if someone unexpectedly falls into range, don't. Be shocked if KC jumps up. The key here is flexibility, and Veach thrives in that chaos. So here's your call to action. What would you prioritize in this year's draft? Vote in the comments. Reinforce the offensive line, or go get more playmakers for Mahomes. Let's be real. When you've got the best quarterback on the planet, protecting him has to be a priority. But adding explosive weapons is always tempting. Now, before we wrap, make sure you're subscribed, got those notifications turned on, and ready for our next live session. We'll be breaking down the full mock draft and answering your questions in real time. Thanks for riding with us here on Total Chiefs. See you in the next one.